Welcome to Divine Reveal. Why are you awake right now? Why can't you sleep? Why does your heart pound at 3 a.m. when the world is silent but your soul is screaming? When a doctor delivers news that will save your life, you don't scroll, you don't yawn, you listen. And right now, heaven has interrupted your scrolling to deliver news that could save your soul. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. You think you stumbled onto this message by accident. You think it's coincidence that your finger stopped scrolling right here, right now. There are no accidents in God's kingdom, only appointments. And this is your divine appointment. I know about the sleepless nights. I know about the betrayal that still stings your heart like fresh salt in an old wound. I know about the weight you carry, not just the years on your body, but the invisible burden of feeling forgotten, overlooked, cast aside by a world that worships youth, while your wisdom gets buried in silence. But what if I told you that every tear you cried in the darkness was being collected in heaven's bottle? What if I told you that every night you felt abandoned, God was actually positioning you for something so powerful that the enemy had to isolate you to stop it? If this is hitting your spirit already, don't just sit there. Drop a 777 in the comments right now. That's not a number. That's your declaration. God, I'm listening. You see, God doesn't interrupt your peace. He interrupts your destruction. And tonight, He's reaching through your screen, through your doubt, through your pain, to grab hold of your destiny before it slips away forever. Before this message ends, you will know exactly why God allowed the storms, why He's reaching for you again tonight, and what will happen if you turn away. And thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating. You're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead. But understand this, beloved. You're not here by chance. You're here because heaven is making one final call. And the question isn't whether God is speaking. The question is whether you're brave enough to answer. The test is over. You passed. Now comes the most dangerous part, what you do next. Do you know what it feels like to be thrown into a furnace and come out standing? Do you understand why the people closest to you became your greatest betrayers? Can you finally see that what felt like abandonment was actually God's protection? Listen to me, dear one. Every sleepless night when you wondered if God had forgotten your name, He was right there, watching you pass a test that would have broken lesser souls. Every family member who turned their back on you, every friend who used you up and threw you away, every year you spent invisible, while others got the recognition that wasn't punishment, that was preparation. The Bible says in Psalm 66:10, "For you, God, tested us. You refined us like silver." Do you know what happens when silver is refined? It's thrown into fire so hot it reaches 1,760 degrees Fahrenheit. At that temperature, everything impure burns away, but the silver doesn't melt. It becomes more valuable, more beautiful, more powerful than it ever was before. That's what happened to you. Every betrayal was God burning away the people who would have held you back. Every door that slammed shut was Him protecting you from settling for less than His best. Every moment you felt forgotten was Him keeping you hidden until you were strong enough to handle what's coming. You think those years of struggle aged you? Look in the mirror again. The world thought the fire would destroy you, would make you bitter, would break your spirit. But instead, it baptized you. Instead of ashes, you carry authority. Instead of scars, you wear crowns invisible to the naked eye but blazing bright in the spiritual realm. I'm talking to the one who survived what should have killed them. I'm speaking to the soul who got knocked down 7 times and got up 8. You didn't just endure, you evolved. You didn't just survive, you were sanctified. While others were living comfortable lives, you were being forged in the fire of divine testing. While they were building on sand, you were having your foundation carved out of solid rock. While they were playing church, you were becoming the church. And here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Heaven kept a record. Every tear, every prayer, every moment you chose faith over fear, it's all documented in the courts of glory. Your suffering wasn't random, it was strategic. God wasn't absent, he was orchestrating. Chosen one, you didn't just survive, you passed his test. And heaven took notes. If you know you came through hell glowing, say it out loud in the comments. I passed. But here's what's dangerous now that the test is over. Now that you've been proven worthy, there's something God needs you to hear. And if you miss this next part, everything you endured will have been for nothing. You passed his test. But here's what nobody tells you about passing God's tests. The real danger begins after you pass. Picture this. It's midnight. Your phone rings. You look at the screen and it's an unknown number, so you let it go to voicemail. It rings again and again. By the fourth ring, your heart starts pounding because you realize this isn't a telemarketer. This is an emergency. That's exactly what's happening in your spirit right now. God has been calling. You've been letting it ring. But tonight, beloved, the ringing has turned into an alarm. And when God's patience turns into urgency, ignoring him isn't just foolish, it's fatal. Hebrews 3:15 cuts through every excuse you've been making. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Today. Why is timing so critical? Because you're standing at the most dangerous intersection of your spiritual life. You think passing God's test means you can coast. You think surviving the fire means you're fireproof forever. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. The enemy isn't done with you just because God promoted you. In fact, your promotion has made you his primary target. And the weapon he's using against you isn't temptation, it's distraction. He wants you to ignore this divine interrupt, to scroll past this moment, to treat God's voice like background noise. But here's the terrifying truth. God's voice isn't getting louder. Your spiritual hearing is getting dimmer. Every time you ignore his call, your sensitivity to his presence decreases. Every time you choose comfort over conviction, the divine frequency gets harder to tune into. You remember the parable of the 10 virgins. 5 were wise, 5 were foolish. The foolish ones didn't run out of oil because they were evil. They ran out because they weren't paying attention. They thought they had time. They thought the bridegroom would wait. He didn't wait then. He won't wait now. This may be your last warning before the collapse. Not the collapse of the economy, not the collapse of your health, the collapse of your spiritual access. There comes a moment in every believer's life when God stops calling and starts choosing someone else. Why now? Why tonight? Because you're not just at the end of a season, you're at the edge of a divine turning point. The ground beneath your feet is shifting. The spiritual atmosphere is changing. And God is offering you a seat at his table before the doors close forever. But understand this. God is not just reaching, he's demanding your ear. This isn't a gentle suggestion. This isn't a friendly invitation. This is a divine summons. Ignore him, and you won't just feel loss, you will feel destruction. The same fire that refined you can consume you if you turn your back on the one who pulled you through it. The same God who saved you from the pit will let you fall back in if you refuse to climb higher when he calls. Ask King Saul. Ask Samson. Ask the children of Israel who wandered 40 years in circles because they kept ignoring God's voice at crucial moments. Your season of testing is over, chosen one, but your season of choosing has just begun, and the choice you make in the next few moments won't just determine your tomorrow, it will determine your eternity. The question burning in heaven right now isn't whether you're worthy. You already proved that. The question is whether you're willing. Because everything God wants to give you, every blessing, every breakthrough, every divine assignment, it all hinges on this moment. Will you answer the call, or will you let it ring until the line goes dead forever? You know what breaks my heart? It's hearing God's chosen ones whisper in the darkness, "Why me? What did I do to deserve this?" As if your pain was punishment instead of preparation. Listen to me carefully, beloved. That loneliness that almost crushed you, that wasn't God abandoning you. It was your Esther season of preparation. Queen Esther spent a whole year in isolation, being prepared for her moment, not because she was forgotten, but because she was being forged for a purpose so vital that the survival of an entire nation would depend on her readiness. You think God didn't see you crying behind closed doors. You think he missed those nights when you begged him to take the pain away. Every tear was collected. Every prayer was recorded. Every moment of agony was an investment in your destiny. Look at Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, the very people who should have protected him, sold like cattle, falsely accused, thrown into a dungeon and forgotten for years. If that was your story, wouldn't you be bitter? Wouldn't you curse God for allowing such injustice? But here's what Joseph understood that most people miss. Genesis 50:20 says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Those brothers thought they were destroying Joseph, but God was positioning him. Every betrayal was a stepping stone. Every prison cell was a classroom. Every injustice was preparation for the palace. Your scars are not wounds, they are armor that glows under heaven's light. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every loss taught you what really matters. Every sleepless night taught you how to pray when others give up. But here's where it gets personal. You survived what should have killed you. You're still standing when others would have crumbled. You still believe when others would have become bitter. Do you know what that makes you? Dangerous to the enemy, valuable to heaven, essential to God's plan. That depression that tried to swallow you whole, it was teaching you compassion for the broken-hearted. That financial devastation that stripped you bare, it was showing you that your worth isn't in your wallet. That health scare that terrified you, it was reminding you that every breath is a gift, every heartbeat is borrowed time. You thought you were being punished, but you were being prepared. You thought you were being destroyed, but you were being developed. You thought God had forgotten you, but he was positioning you. Here's the revelation that will change everything. Your suffering was not punishment, it was prophecy being fulfilled. Every trial was a training ground. Every test was preparation for your testimony. Every setback was actually a setup for your comeback. The enemy thought those trials would break you. Instead, they made you unbreakable. He thought isolation would make you weak. Instead, it made you intimate with God. He thought betrayal would make you bitter. Instead, it made you better. You passed the test, chosen one. You didn't just survive, you graduated. You earned stripes that can't be bought, wisdom that can't be taught, and authority that can't be counterfeited. But here's what terrifies me for you. You're standing at the edge of your Esther moment, your Joseph promotion, your divine elevation, and some of you are still seeing yourselves as victims instead of victors. God didn't bring you through all that fire to leave you in the ashes. He brought you through to make you fireproof. He didn't allow those betrayals to break you. He allowed them to break you open so his light could shine through the cracks. The question isn't whether you've suffered enough. The question is whether you're ready to stop seeing your pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. Because everything you've been through has been preparing you for what's coming next. And what's coming next will either crown you or crush you, depending on whether you recognize your season and step into your purpose, or keep nursing wounds that were meant to become weapons. The test is over. You passed. But the most dangerous moment isn't during the storm, it's right after, when you have to decide who you're going to become because of what you've been through. Chosen one, you've made it this far because something deep inside your spirit recognizes truth when it hears it. But now we've reached the crossroads, the place where comfort ends and destiny begins, the place where God stops whispering and starts demanding an answer. Moses stood before the children of Israel with these exact words burning in his throat. I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life. Deuteronomy 30-19. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. Picture this with me. You're standing in front of a burning building. Smoke is pouring out. Flames are licking the windows. There are 2 doors in front of you. One door leads to fresh air, to oxygen, to life. The other door leads deeper into the smoke, into suffocation, into death. Both doors look the same from the outside, but one saves you and one destroys you. That's exactly where you are right now, spiritually speaking. God has placed 2 paths before you tonight. One path leads to His voice, His protection, His abundance flowing into your golden years. The other path leads to spiritual suffocation, to watching everything you've built crumble while you wonder why heaven went silent. You think ignoring God is harmless? You think you can just close this video and go back to scrolling like nothing happened? Let me tell you about a man who thought the same thing. His name was Jonah. God called him. He ignored it. He bought a ticket on a ship going the opposite direction, and where did that ship take him? Into the belly of a whale, in darkness so thick he couldn't see his own hand, gasping for air that tasted like death. Ask Samson what happens when you ignore God's voice. This man had supernatural strength, could tear apart lions with his bare hands, but he got comfortable, he got careless, he stopped listening to the warnings. And you know what happened? The enemy didn't just defeat him, they gouged out his eyes and made him a carnival act, grinding grain like an animal while children mocked him. These weren't weak men. These weren't faithless men. These were chosen ones who thought they could handle God's silence. They thought they had time to respond later. But here's what they discovered too late. God's patience has an expiration date. And beloved, I need you to hear this with every fiber of your being. That expiration date isn't months away. It's not weeks away. For some of you watching this right now, it's days away, maybe hours. You feel that tightness in your chest. That's not anxiety. That's your spirit recognizing the weight of this moment. That's your soul understanding that this isn't just another inspirational video you'll forget by morning. This is your burning bush moment. This is your road to Damascus. This is heaven breaking through the noise of your daily routine to grab you by the shoulders and shake you awake. How many more signs do you need? How many more sleepless nights? How many more relationships have to crumble? How many more health scares have to knock on your door? How many more financial struggles have to drain your bank account before you realize that God has been trying to get your attention? You've been praying for breakthrough, but you've been ignoring the one who holds the keys to break you through. You've been crying out for healing while walking away from the healer. You've been begging for peace while running from the Prince of Peace. The clock isn't just ticking, it's thundering. Every second you hesitate is a second stolen from the abundant life God is trying to pour into your remaining years. Every moment you delay is a moment the enemy uses to convince you that you're too old, too broken, too forgotten to matter to heaven. But that's a lie from the pit of hell itself. Listen tonight, or watch everything you built collapse in silence. That's not a threat, beloved. That's a promise. Because God will not share His glory with your stubborn independence. He will not compete with your comfort zone. He will either be your Lord, or He will let you be your own God until that false deity destroys you. The choice is yours. The door to life is still open. The door to destruction is wide and welcoming millions. But you cannot walk through both. You cannot serve God and self. You cannot say yes to heaven while living like hell. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to be another Jonah, swallowed by the consequences of ignoring God's call? Are you going to be another Samson, blind and broken because you thought you knew better than the Almighty? Now let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. There are signs written all over your life, signs so obvious that heaven itself is wondering why you haven't recognized them yet. These aren't coincidences, beloved. These are divine fingerprints. First sign. People can't figure you out. They watch you from a distance, whispering about something they can't name. They see a glow around you that makes them uncomfortable. They envy your peace when you should be broken. They study your face, looking for cracks they'll never find. You know what that is? That's the light of God reflecting off your spirit, and it's so bright it blinds those still walking in darkness. Listen to me carefully. When Pharaoh's magicians saw Moses' staff turn into a serpent, they didn't celebrate, they trembled, because they recognized power they couldn't control. That's what people see when they look at you, chosen one, divine authority wrapped in human skin. Second sign, you survived what should have killed you. I'm not talking about a close call with a car accident. I'm talking about the spiritual assassination attempts. The betrayal that should have destroyed your faith, the loss that should have left you bitter, the diagnosis that should have buried your hope, the financial collapse that should have broken your spirit. But here you are, still standing, still believing, still glowing. The Bible tells us in Psalm 91:7, 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You didn't just survive by luck. You survived because you're covered by divine protection so thick that hell itself couldn't penetrate it. Third sign, time didn't age you, it crowned you. Look in the mirror right now. Go ahead, look. What you see staring back isn't decay, it's refinement. Every wrinkle tells a story of victory. Every gray hair is a silver thread in your crown of wisdom. While others your age are bitter, you're better. While they're complaining, you're conquering. Isaiah 40:31 declares, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Your enemies thought time would defeat you. Instead, it revealed your true nature, timeless, eternal, chosen. Fourth sign, and this one's going to hit different. Your enemies who laughed are now haunted by their own collapse. Remember those who mocked your faith? Those who said you'd never make it? Those who counted you out when you were down? Beloved, as we reach the end of this divine encounter, let me leave you with 3 truths that must echo in your heart long after this screen goes dark. First, remember this. You didn't survive by accident. Every breath you take is a testament to God's faithfulness. Every morning you wake up is proof that heaven still has plans for your life. The storms didn't destroy you, they revealed the unshakable foundation beneath your feet. Second, understand that your pain had purpose. Those sleepless nights, those tears shed in silence, those moments when you felt forgotten, they were not wasted. They were investments in your destiny. God was forging something in you that could only be created in the furnace of affliction. Third, and hear me clearly on this, your story isn't over. The enemy wants you to believe your best days are behind you, that your purpose expired with your youth. But God is writing chapters in your life that will make angels applaud and demons tremble. You are not alone in this journey, chosen one. I want you to look at these comments below this video. Look at the hearts, the prayers, the testimonies. This isn't just a YouTube community. This is a family of chosen ones who understand your struggle because they've walked the same path. We're here to pray with you, to stand with you, to remind you of who you are when the world tries to convince you otherwise. God is still working in your life right now. Even as you watch these words, His Spirit is moving through your circumstances, aligning people and opportunities, preparing doors that will swing wide open at exactly the right moment. He hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't given up on you, and neither should you. Let me ask you this question, and I want you to really think about it. If God brought you this far, through everything you've endured, why would He abandon you now? Why would He invest so much in your survival just to let you fade away in obscurity? Now, before you go, I want to pray over you with the authority of someone who has witnessed God's faithfulness for decades. Close your eyes if you can and receive this word. Father God, I lift up every chosen one hearing these words. You know their names, their struggles, their secret tears. I pray that you wrap your arms around them right now like a loving parent comforting their child. Lord, breathe new life into their weary bones. Restore their hope. Remind them of their calling. Open doors that no man can shut. Provide where there is need. Heal where there is pain. Restore what was stolen. Give them supernatural strength for the days ahead. I declare over their lives, no weapon formed against them shall prosper. Their latter days will be greater than their former days. They will see your goodness in the land of the living. Their children and their children's children will be blessed because of their faithfulness. Now, chosen one, don't let this moment end in silence. Share your heart in the comments below. Tell us how this message touched your spirit. Ask for prayer if you need it. This community will surround you with intercession. And if this word blessed you, share it with someone who needs to hear it too. There are others out there feeling exactly what you felt, and your obedience to share could be their divine interruption. Remember, beloved, you passed the test. Now step into your victory.